on. Two sisters shot on their front stoop, some of the latest victims of Philadelphia's violence. So Steve Killa is live at Penn Presbyterian, and even though this story is so tragic, also 9 people total shot overnight.
Well, it's actually 15. It depends on what time you start the overnight, but 15 since the commander I talked to started his shift, which is before the sun goes down. And he was at the scenes of 3 people killed, and I'll get to them. But I'm going to start with actually positive news in all this mayhem, because we're at Penn Presbyterian, where we were with the 6-year-old son of the sister who survived. And we met him when police raced back, whether another guy came back to the same scene with a gun. And we didn't know. One cop said somebody might be back here to finish the job or looking for whoever they intended to kill. So me and the 16-year-old came over here, our live truck followed, and then he got some good news and came out and told me that his mom is going to be okay and may actually get released as early as today. And so he's going to try to go home and sleep somehow. And this is where we are now. This is the video of the 46 and Walnut scene, a nice renovated apartment building. They were outside because it's so hot and they were trying to keep cool. The 33-year-old mother of the 16-year-old, the one that survived, lives there. Her 36-year-old sister was just over visiting. They thought, let's hang out. The 33-year-old son that we were with was inside playing video games. And he hears over the sound of his loud video games what he thinks is fireworks. And he goes, nope, it's too loud. It's getting too loud and it's too long. And then suddenly his mom runs in screaming, bleeding. He sees the bullet wound that's in her arm. She's shot in the legs as well. They run in the back for cover. And then he finally goes out and he sees his aunt shot in the eye, in the face, in the chest, in the back, on the steps, bleeding badly. The police arrive. They rush both sisters to the hospital. One survives, one does not.
21 shots were fired from 2 separate caliber semi-automatic weapons. Several of the spent shell casings appear to be rifle rounds because they're much longer and appear to come from a rifle. And the other spent shell casings are clearly from a semi-automatic handgun. So we know 2 weapons were used. Due to the fact that the ballistic evidence is so close to where they were sitting, some shell casings on the highway, many shell casings on the sidewalk, and they were struck so many times, it appears that one of them, or both, may have been the intended target or targets.
All right, so then we have this scene at the Whitehall Apartments up in Frankfurt, where there was another murder right around the same time the 2 sisters were shot. And this is a 45-year-old man who's actually from where we are in West Philly. Some reason he's in Frankfurt. You'll notice a crutch in the video. Police think he was walking with a crutch. And somebody, again, savagely stands over him up close, just like they did with the rifle, standing close to the sister, firing away, and shoots him at least 8 times in the face, in the chest, and in the back. And the bullet shells are just bouncing off that victim's body and found an inch or 2 away from that person's body. And then in addition to all the other shootings that happened nonstop, he said it's like a weekend of violence that you talk about on Monday mornings in one shift so far, and the shift hasn't ended yet. So in all the craziness, it starts out with a man on a dirt bike, which we've been reporting on endlessly. He's at K and Erie Streets up in Hunting Park, goes through the red light, according to witnesses who talked to police, and the tractor-trailer driver, who's 56 and stopped immediately. The 31-year-old guy on the dirt bike is dead instantly on the scene from a massive wound, and the dirt bike is gone. When the cops get there, and they're like, what do you mean he was riding a dirt bike? And they said, well, before you guys got here in like 50 seconds, somebody came along and already stole the dirt bike, started it, and drove away with the dirt bike. A second time that somebody was killed on a dirt bike, we had the 21-year-old man that Hank Flynn reported up in Port Richmond on June 12th, shot and killed, and then somebody stole his dirt bike. So there's some depravity right there, Jason and Alex. Somebody stealing the dirt bike next to the dead person's body right there on Erie Avenue.
How low can we go? I mean, it doesn't get any lower than that. Steve Killa at Penn. Thank you very much, Steve. My goodness.